This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to the Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. Okay, we're back. It is football season, week 0.5, I'm going to say. It is Wednesday, and both Purdue and Michigan State play on Friday night. Michigan State plays first against Tulsa.
Yes, the Golden Hurricanes, baby.
The Golden Hurricanes. Interesting. Purdue's got...
You guys have a little bit of a more entertaining game, I'd say.
Yeah, Purdue's got Nevada, but doesn't really matter. The exciting thing is football's back. We had the excitingly horrible week 0 matchup of Miami and Florida that went down to the wire, but was horrible.
I feel like those early games always end up to be that way.
Yeah, just think people maybe be a little rusty or something. I mean, I don't know. It was just, like Miami gave up like 10 sacks. Like Florida was trying to lose at the very end of the game, so whatever. I'm sure both teams will be fine down the road, but it was an exciting yet ugly opening week 0 for college football. But the big week is this week. Everybody's in action. So, John, starting us off with some not so good news, though, for Michigan State football.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Cole Chewins, as most Michigan State fans will know, is who with our left tackle, has dealt with plenty of injury issues. But he ended up, I know I shared this with Austin, our whole offensive line's gained a lot of weight. He ended up going from like 280 to a little over 300 pounds. And was supposed to have a big senior year. He is out with a back injury. Don't know for how long. Everybody freaked out when they did not see him in the depth chart when they released it. I believe was 2 days ago or yesterday. But I was making the prompt and the depth. I created my own depth chart, which we'll go through shortly. And I had Cole Chewins right there at left tackle. And then I look at the Detroit Free Press when they released the real depth chart. And I was like, where is Cole Chewins? And then I found out he's hurt. So that's a fantastic way to start the season after dealing with injuries last year. But what we're going to go through tonight is obviously starting with the depth chart prediction, which in comparing it to the official one, I did not expect them to actually release the official one until the day of, which they normally do. And then talk a little bit about the game versus Tulsa. Honestly, try to do a little research on Tulsa football, but there's really not much to go off of. They haven't announced their starting quarterback yet. And they went 3-9 last season. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. How much of the new offense will we really see in the first game or even in the first 2 weeks against Western week 2? We'll see if we open it up a little bit. Defensive expectations, and then me and Austin will go through game by game real quick to kind of see what we think Michigan State's going to be like this year, and then do a little Big Ten national preview type stuff. Not something we get to do every week, which I think is kind of fun for us to step out of Michigan State and Purdue every once in a while, especially when you not need stuff to talk about, but it's the beginning of the season. Who doesn't like some fun preseason predictions, almost like mock drafts in the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll predict our Big Ten champion, Big Ten sleeper team, predict our own Final Four, and then the sleeper to make the playoffs. And then is it still a Clemson Bama world? Some news out of Alabama today that's not so good, and very few recruiting updates. Not a lot going on there. So we'll jump right into the depth chart I came up with for Michigan State, kind of similar to the official one, but obviously, Austin, no surprise here. Brian Lewerke's your quarterback. I think I would, if I heard other news that someone else was starting, I'd kind of be a little nervous, to be honest. I do think, as much as we heard about Peyton Thorne making progress and looking good in camp this offseason so far, who Austin raved about and gave a beautiful scouting report on, honestly think it was his first scouting report he released on Twitter publicly. So thanks for that, Peyton. I think he's going to redshirt, which I think is a smart move. I think Rocky Lombardi is going to be your backup. Theo Day, the third string redshirt freshman, and Peyton Thorne gets a year to learn the new offensive system and sit behind the three other more experienced guys. Running back is where I'm kind of disappointed by the official depth chart. The official depth chart was Connor Hayward, Ladarius Jefferson, Elijah Collins, and Anthony Williams Jr., who is a true freshman. I had it as Connor Hayward, Anthony Williams Jr., Ladarius Jefferson, Elijah Collins. I'm hoping we get to see all of them in the first game because, as Austin has expressed his feelings to me privately, I'm sure he will happily admit publicly on the show tonight that running back situation last year wasn't great. Not really a guy that you would consider an every down go-to back. Connor Hayward's kind of a good receiving back, power back, but his vision's kind of meh. Ladarius Jefferson, super raw, and you hear all these great things about Anthony Williams Jr. coming out of camp, and then it turns out he's the fourth guy on the depth chart, which true freshman, I get it. This is such a Mark D'Antonio thing to do, to just bury the true freshman on the depth chart, but I mean, when you see what, obviously more highly touted recruit, but you see what Purdue did with Rondell Moore last year, he's a true freshman, but Austin, I mean, you knew he was a playmaker coming in. So what do? You put him on the field, and look what he did for you guys. Magic, right? So
yes, very much magic.
Yes. Not saying Anthony Williams Jr. is going to have that same effect, but if you have a true freshman playmaker who can get it done, play him. But, so we'll see. Obviously, I'm not going to speculate on how much he'll play, or, he might end up getting the most reps in the game on Friday. But as of right now, he is buried in the depth chart. And then a guy who me and Austin both liked more than Anthony Williams Jr., Brandon Wright, did not have the benefit of being a early enrollee, so I assume he is going to redshirt this year, who kind of is more of a bigger back, like 6'2", something. I don't remember exactly. No offense to the fullbacks. No one really, I don't think people are going to listen tonight and want to know who the starting fullback is, even though he's Max Rosenthal. Wide receivers, super deep. Last year was a health issue. Your starting three is no surprise. Cody White, Darrell Stewart, and Jalen Speedy Naylor in the slot, who I think will have a breakout season. Your depth guys, you got guys like Cam Chambers, who's going to be a junior this year, big-time recruit, hasn't really blossomed yet. Kind of might remind me of a guy like Aaron Burbridge, who didn't come on until he was a senior at Michigan State and won Big Ten Receiver of the Year. A guy like Tony Lippett comes to mind when I think about late bloomers, so who actually ended up being a corner in the NFL anyways. But CJ Hayes, who is a redshirt sophomore, I believe, will get some reps. Larars Nelson, a junior, will kind of be the backup to Jalen Naylor in the slot. He's another speedy, shifty guy. True freshman Trey Mosley made the depth chart. How much we'll see him, I don't know. I'm guessing he's going to be a 4-game type freshman guy to keep his red shirt. The most interesting one was Julian Barnett. Austin, I don't know if you remember watching film on him as a cornerback.
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah, he was your second best recruit in Michigan State's recruiting class, is a wide receiver now, apparently. He is listed as a 5th wide receiver. He played both ways in high school. And honestly, with the depth Michigan State has at corner, it's no surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves back to corner in the future, but they like his big play ability. So I'm sure we'll see him in some games as well. And then I hate disliking college players, but Brandon Sowards I'm not his biggest fan after he's been our punt returner for the last 2 years, and fair catches everything. But good news for that is he's not the punt returner anymore, thank God. But tight end, I think, Austin, this is a position I want to circle on Michigan State's depth chart offensively, because I think having an elite, or not elite, but a good tight end can elevate your offense immensely. In Michigan State in the years past, when they have had a Josiah Price or guys like that, any years of success with offense, they've had a good tight end you can throw to in the red zone, a guy who can block. So I think this is a big year for this position group to go out there and prove it. They have the talent. Matt Dotson, former 4-star recruit. Trenton Gillison was like a top 3 tight end in the recruiting class. He's a redshirt freshman now. So two talented guys who can go out there and get the ball. Just sure hands has to be a thing. Matt Dotson dropped a lot of passes last year, so he's a junior. It's time to step up. I personally think by the end of the year, you're going to see a lot of Dotson and Gillison. Currently, Michigan State has it as Dotson, Noah Davis, then Trenton Gillison, but I think Trenton Gillison's too much of a talent and an athlete at 6'5" to not get some time. This is when we get kind of, if someone can play the world's tiniest violin for me, left tackle already down, Cole Chewins. I'm kind of curious to see if we see a little Devontae Dobbs on Friday night now, Austin, the freshman tackle / guard that we broke down some film on.
Is he what is he officially listed as?
They have him on the depth chart at right tackle right now.
Okay.
But as kind of like a backup tackle. So I don't know if we'll see him much, but they got him in there. And I would think we would at least have to see him play a couple snaps with the 4-game rule, see what he's got. Obviously, if you can save a redshirt on him, I would. Right now, AJ Curry is the starter who I like, but again, here I am with a true freshman thing. Obviously, true freshman left tackle isn't something you necessarily want to see, but I'm more on the boat of if you got the talent and you can play the position, put him in. Just throw him in there. I mean, at this season, Michigan State has nothing to lose and take that back. There's a lot to lose. They have a lot to lose, but you got to swing for the fences here. I think swinging for the fences would be a better way to put that than nothing to lose. Because there's some speculation around that this could be D'Antonio's last year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nothing official, but just message board talk, stuff like that. Which would make sense on why this recruiting class has kind of been like not bad necessarily, but slow, like a lot of weird like weights on a lot of the commitments and prospects and some other things. I wouldn't be shocked to say also another weird thing is Michigan State renegotiated their contracts with all their position coaches and coordinators instead of being 2-year deals to 1-year deals. So if Michigan State somehow unfortunately has another 5 and 7 year or something, I wonder if D'Antonio might just step down. But
wow.
I think him and Izzo are kind of the opposite, in where I think Izzo you're going to have to drag out of the program by his suit jacket, and he'd be kicking and screaming. But I think D'Antonio is going to be the guy who kind of goes on his own terms. So we'll see. I honestly, if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably got another 3 years in him. But we'll see what happens after this season. Left guard, Luke Campbell, I believe, is Higbee won the starting job. I had Campbell as a starter. I'm fine with either or. Higbee has a lot to prove this year after him having a rough year last year. And the third, this is another interesting tidbit, Austin, at another brother trio here at Michigan State, Matt Allen, the third Allen. This is 3 Allens in a row who will start at Michigan State.
At center, right?
Yep.
And they've all been centers, right?
Yep, every single one of them has been center.
Wow. Well, that's consistent.
Yeah, right. The same thing with the Bolas. Max and Riley, and then even Byron Bola played a little middle linebacker for us. But Kevin Jarvis, right guard, who I love. He's gained a lot of weight. Really big-time recruit. I think he finally has a breakout year this year. I've honestly seen him on some draft boards. Not that I don't think he's going to declare, but just that he's getting that attention gets me excited. And then Jordan Reed. I'm not really going to go over the backup linemen, but 2 names I want to mention is Nick Samick, who is one of the offensive linemen that Austin was drooling over, who was probably the least talked about offensive lineman publicly for Michigan State. He has had nothing but great things said about him in camp. I expect to see him quite a bit, to be honest. Maybe even burn that red shirt. And then Devontae Dobbs, we'll see how much we see from him. Now, the exciting side of the ball, Austin, the defense, which honestly, I'm just going to fly through this because this is pretty, you could probably guess it and you're not a Michigan State fan. Kenny Willekes, obviously starting. Any shock there, Austin?
A little bit, but not too much.
All right, fair enough. Jacob Panasiuk starting at the other end. Raekwon Williams starting at nose tackle with Mike Panasiuk the Polish brothers on the D-line combo at the D tackle spots. The star linebacker, which is the weak side for Michigan State, is Antoine Simmons. Middle linebacker, Joe Bacci, obviously. And strong side, my man who hit-sticked Bryce Hopkins on Purdue. That is his name, correct? Tyreek Thompson. Free safety, who's getting a lot of love from pro scouts, David Dowell. Strong safety, Xavier Henderson. Cornerback 1, Josiah Scott. Josh Butler at cornerback 2. And if we play a slot corner, it's probably going to be Shakir Brown. Names to keep an eye on that aren't in the starting lineup: Drew Beasley, who is Kenny Willekes' backup. I like him a lot. Lower rated kid. Came from a high school that I actually grew up right next to. And De La Salle, for those Michigan State listeners who live in the Metro Detroit area, will know what I'm talking about. Another one of the Quans, Naquan Jones, who is, honestly, could start probably almost anywhere in the country. But he's buried in Michigan State's D-line because you got guys like Raequan Williams and Mike Panishuk who are seniors and starting. Jacob Slade was a true freshman. There's so many brothers at Michigan State. His brother is also on the team, but he was getting rave reviews out of camp, and he is out for the season. That is official. We don't know how long Cole Chewins is out for with his back, but Jacob Slade is out for the season. So you're not going to see him. You're probably going to see a lot of Deshaun Mallory, who was a freshman a couple years ago. I believe he's a redshirt sophomore. You can see what he can do. I don't think you're going to see any true freshmen coming at D tackle. And then backup linebackers can go. I think we'll finally see some Kaylon Gervin at cornerback, who was a true freshman last year, was probably one of our highest corners we've ever gotten. So nothing surprising there. I just wanted to go through that real quick. Kicker's obviously Matt Coughlin. Punter is Jake Hartbarger. At least we have our punter back instead of going through 5 of them last year. And then punt returner is Jalen Naylor, which is super exciting. And kick returner is probably going to be Darrell Stewart. So just wanted to fly through that real quick for you guys to kind of figure out where everybody's going to be, what we're going to see. So on to the fun stuff. Tulsa, Austin. How much you know about Tulsa?
They were in Oklahoma, right?
To be honest with you, I don't know. It's the one thing I didn't look up about them. I would think so.
Well, if they're not in Oklahoma, then that's all I thought I knew about it.
Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Why don't you tell me where they play? Come on, where are you guys located at? It is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good call, Austin.
All right, there we go. That's what I know about them. They're in Oklahoma.
So what I know about them is they went 3-9 last year. Not good. And there's one thing we have with them in common, Austin, and you are going to be shocked to hear this, but would you believe that Michigan State and Tulsa both had one of the worst offenses in the NCAA last year?
Now I know. But I think we knew that last year.
Yeah, watching the painful games, right?
Yes. The thriller of 9-6 losing to Nebraska comes to mind.
Why do you gotta bring that one up to me?
It was exciting offense.
That one was tough.
One of many.
So there's a couple factors in this game. I think like what I brought up earlier, what will Michigan State's offense look like in this scheme and approach? I'm sure Austin will agree with me here, but feel free to disagree, obviously. I think Michigan State's probably not going to show a lot of their new offense, passing-wise. I think you're going to see a lot of run up the middle, kind of power like they normally are, to kind of shield that until they play Arizona State. And I feel like Michigan State, not being a super power offensive line regarding the Big Ten-wise, I think they can outpower Tulsa. So I think you're going to see a lot of boring, quick throws, kind of get Brian Lewerke in a rhythm. Maybe spread it out a little bit, some easy reads, just some slants, get everybody involved, and pretty much it's a run-heavy offensive type. I'm really excited. I really hope Austin sits down and watches this prime time, big-time game that the Michigan State versus Tulsa is going to be. You don't want to miss it.
I think I'm going to go another direction.
Okay, I like this.
I think Michigan State's going to try out a bunch of different things in the new offense. Okay. And I say that because you're going to put a lot of stuff on film in Arizona State if they're watching and they're trying to get an insight onto the new look offense. if you give them a ton of different looks, then they're going to have, I mean, are they going to prep for all of that, or are they not going to prep for it? Are you going to waste time prepping for something that you might not see? But for Michigan State, I think it's a good opportunity. You're not playing a very strong team. You're trying to get the new offense on the ground. You want it to get some momentum. I think you want to kind of, flex it out a little bit, you run with it, stretch the muscles, so to speak, and get ready for that bigger matchup. Because if you make mistakes against Tulsa, I don't think it's going to really hurt you. But if you try new things against Arizona State and you make a mistake, that might come back and bite you. And the last thing you want to do is drop that game at home against a potent Arizona State offense. So
yeah, and
I think they run a bunch of different stuff you've never seen before, or whatever entails in their new offense. But I wouldn't expect everything you see against Tulsa to come out against Michigan State. It might be something more familiar where they build, but they know what works and what kind of doesn't, and where it can possibly translate. So that's what I think. I could be wrong, but if I was coach, which I'm not, I would run with the new offense, call everything and then some in the playbook. I want to see what it looks like against an actual opponent, not our scout team, and game day situation, all that good stuff. And we'll see what works, we'll see what doesn't, and we can kind of go from there against Arizona State.
Yeah, Austin, I pray to God you're right. I would love nothing more than to see Michigan State go out there and do something that Mark D'Antonio is completely against and just pour it on Tulsa. I would love for us to go out there, spread it out, throw all over them, pass the ball 39 times, run at 20, and just beat Tulsa like 45-10. I would love nothing more. But this is why I think you could be right, though, because D'Antonio supposedly letting Salem do his thing, the new OC.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you got Warner out of there, I think D'Antonio finally realizes he has to step back from the offense, and I'm kind of hoping he does completely, because this is college football. This isn't middle school. This isn't high school. This isn't Pop Warner. I don't care about running up the score. You're here to play football. You're a Division I football school, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that you're here to play. Obviously, you don't go for it on 4th and 2 to go up 55, but don't stop trying. This isn't a Madden league, as me and Austin are very familiar with. So I would love nothing more than for Michigan State to go out there, spread it out, let Lewerke sling it around, get comfortable with the new offense, get a rhythm going, get everybody involved, maybe even see a little Rocky Lombardi in there, get some reps. That's what should happen, is what I agree with. I don't think Michigan State should have trouble with Tulsa. I don't think Tulsa will be able to really move the ball on Michigan State's defense like Utah State did last year, which ended up being a really good offense in the nation, with Jordan Love at quarterback, who I'm liking more and more in regards to the NFL. So, Austin, as I said, I pray to God you're right. And when we disagree on this, I like it more than when we agree, because it leads to more discussion. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I do think it's going to be more of a boring offense, but I'm hoping you're right and I'm wrong. So which we kind of covered how much of the new offense will we really see. Austin thinks we're going to see a lot of new things. I'm kind of thinking power offense like Michigan State normally runs. So my first real question for you, Austin, is in regards to nationally, what do you think are some realistic expectations that Michigan State's defense can expect?
Are you asking, where they'll kind of rank among?
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of rank. I mean, I guess that would be an easier way to put it. Obviously, they're not going to be like an Alabama, Clemson defense or a lot of the SEC teams, but let me ask. I'll put it this way. A lot of people think they potentially have the potential to be the best Michigan State defense ever, which would have been the 2013 team, which won the Rose Bowl, or the defense that carried them to the playoff. I guess it's safe to say, with you being newly familiar with Michigan State, as watching them more and more because we're doing this podcast, obviously, do you think they can exceed what they did last year as a defense?
I think so. I'll say yes. I think getting a year under your belt, regardless if you are experienced or not, is a big thing, a big step forward. Obviously, Kenny Willekes is coming off an injury, but as weird as it sounds, a broken bone is a lot better than a ligament or tendon tear. So he should be, I mean, that leg should be stronger than it was and shouldn't have any aches.
He's been training with he trained with Von Miller and Aaron Donald over the summer.
And I mean, that's some pretty good company to be around and learn from, two of the best in the NFL. So, just having a premier pass rusher, having a quarterback play, sideline to sideline playmaking linebacker. You got more experience at corner and safety, which was arguably your weakest link. So now they've gained an extra year of experience. So I think shoring up the back end is going to help a lot. Obviously, you've got that really talented corner that missed some time last year and kind of was it Josiah Scott. So you've got a good corner to build on there. Obviously, Justin Lane's gone in the NFL now, but again, it's always nice to have that centerpiece that can cover the best weapon. And then I think just your safeties, having that experience, knowing, another year in the defense, understanding the scheme, understanding your role, understanding your job is going to help them a lot, because Michigan State's Achilles heel was the deep ball, the deep play, the big play. Obviously they did okay. Obviously, Purdue's a big play team. They held us in check, but I think that was their weakness. So
yeah, I think if you could get over the top on Michigan State, you were successful last year. I think Michigan State did a really good job of keeping everything Purdue wanted to do in front of them. I thought last year, if Michigan State kept the game in front of them defensively, they played well. If you could get over the top, they were not as successful. Replacing Justin Lane, as we talked about briefly on the depth chart, Josh Butler is probably going to get the nod, who I'm happy to see for him personally, because he has gone through hell as a person. Lost his, I'm not going to say what they died from, because I don't want to mix it up. He lost both his mother and his father in like a 2 to 3 year span. And if I remember correctly, he also recovered from cancer himself.
Wow.
So he is a true feel-good story if he, comes out and performs well. He's getting a shot. He played well last year when asked to step up. So if he plays well, you're going to see a lot of him. If he does not, you're going to see Kalen Gervin step up, he's probably my favorite corner on the roster, just because I followed his recruitment a lot, like the whole way. He went to Cass Tech, which Austin's Purdue team has gotten some guys from Cass Tech recently. So big time football program in Detroit. But I think Josiah Scott, he was a freshman All-American. He's going to go out. He's going to do his thing. Cornerback 2, I'd put a question mark on. And then the strong safety spot, I'd put a small question mark on. Xavier Henderson was a big-time recruit, played solid as a true freshman. I think he's obviously stepping up into a bigger role this year, but it helps when you have a senior like David Dowell coming in to be kind of his leader and being able to communicate with each other while they're on the field. So like Austin said, I think secondary's got to improve from last year. And another thing they have to improve on is 2 things, actually. Getting sacks, believe it or not, with as good as a D-line they had, they did not get a lot of pass rush. I know listening to Big Ten Media Day, Kenny Willekes, Joe Bacci, and Raekwon Williams all said they need to get better pass rush, and they need to create more turnovers. I think a big problem with Michigan State last year, other than the offense being atrocious, was Michigan State's defense would be on the field too long, because they not only was the offense terrible and punted or turned the ball over, they were on the field way too long because they could not force turnovers. Hence the Michigan game where Michigan had the ball for 42 minutes, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So not good. Not a success to win. Not the recipe to win a game. So we'll see if they can do those things. I mean, they definitely have playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Joe Bacci can make some things happen. Kenny Willekes definitely has the motor and the quickness to get to the quarterback. I think he just has to get home more and kind of be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Aware, I guess, in his situation when he's going after the quarterback. Maybe pursue.
He needs to finish.
Yeah, finish.
He's got all the he's got all the moves. I mean, I'm assuming working with Donald and Von Miller, that's, quickness is what those guys are really excel at, especially in their hands. And I think that's where Kenny Willekes was just kind of lacking last year. Is he could power through guy. He had a good pass rush plan, but he just never finished. He just not quite able to get there, just a fraction too slow.
He never really had a go-to move other than his first step was nasty. But other than that first step, if he couldn't beat you with his first step, I think he kind of struggled. So I think he has a potential, and like you said, he's got it with his hands, and I think he's got to
use his power, use the motor, use the power. Yeah. That's what you got. That's excel at it. I mean, you're not going to be an ankle bending edge rusher,
right?
That's not your game, but you don't need that. You certainly don't need that. So I would say, I think teams kind of understand what Kenny Willekes is now. Whoever's playing opposite him needs to take advantage of the one-on-one opportunities, because Willekes is going to draw the double team. He's going to draw the chip. He's going to draw, whatever. The other guy needs to win his battle against the right tackle and, kind of create the havoc there. So the team is kind of picking their poison, who they're trying to chip or double team or block, because coming up the middle is solid, and then you have an anchor on one side, but just kind of complementing. I think it was rotation last year.
Yep.
So I would like to see one guy lock that down. And honestly, I don't know too much about the edge rushers of Michigan State up to this point. If there's some sort of speed guy, anyone that can change it up, because you got three power dudes across your defensive line, add a little speed in there, and I would say that will just add the extra havoc, and we'll do what Michigan State wants.
Panishuk's your best bet. Jacob, that is, his brother Mike is a big dude, plays up the middle at D tackle. He's going to be the starter. They don't really have that speed on the line at D end. What they do like to do is going into their Delta package, where they'll have like a linebacker or even like a safety come in a blitz package and try to get some pass rush. But there's maybe Drew Beasley see some more time. He's not as big as you'd want a DM to be in a 4-3, but maybe go into a hybrid package, stand him up a little bit, try to get him on the edge and get some speed in there, and throw the offensive line and the opposing offense off, which I like, because you're right. They got three power guys who can overpower you. You need that speed guy in there who can kind of offset things with that offensive line. So moving on from that, real quick, just kind of fly through Michigan State's schedule real quick, Austin. If you have a score, great. If not, you can just say win or loss. Either or is fine. Tulsa Friday night, I got Michigan State winning 28-6. Austin, don't break my heart.
No, that's a win. There's no way it's not a win.
Western Michigan comes to East Lansing. I got Michigan State winning a grinded out one, 27-17 at home.
Yeah, that's a win.
Okay.
That's pretty easy.
Arizona State, the first real true test coming to East Lansing. I got another grinded out type game with this team like we had last year, but Michigan State tops them off 20-10.
I would say Michigan State wins because it's at home and their offense won't have the same issues they did in Michigan State, or excuse me, in the desert.
Yep. And I don't know what time the game is. I would kind of like it to be a noon game, so Arizona State's kind of thrown off a bit. Going the first real big test, which is the first road game, going to Northwestern, who has been Michigan State's Achilles heel. At this point in time, I think Michigan State kind of gets rolling. Kind of gets rolling a little bit. I got Michigan State winning 31-21 on the road at Northwestern, and at that point, they would start really earning my respect.
Yeah, I would say that's a win. You've got a new quarterback. I think it's Hunter Johnson.
Yes, Hunter Johnson.
That transferred from Clemson.
I'm looking up right now,
I believe. I think he came from Clemson.
Yep, Clemson.
So obviously a talented kid, but first year in the offense, it's not a 4-year starter.
Yeah, he was
that's coming at
it's actually a big get for Northwestern. He was a top 30 recruit in the class of 17.
So we'll kind of see. Obviously, with a new quarterback, you just don't know what you're going to get. Maybe by then they do, but I still think Michigan State's defense is going to be a lot to handle, and Northwestern, with the new quarterback against, I don't know what their schedule is up to that point, but I'm going to assume that Michigan State's going to be their first real defensive test.
Yeah.
And I think Michigan State will snap the curse.
I sure hope so. I'm sure our producer / manager / everything guy, Connor, was hoping for the other, but I'm hoping Michigan State can put the smack down in Northwestern. Indiana comes East Lansing. I think this is a pretty easy one to predict. Michigan State 28-14.
Yeah, nope, that's dub.
Yep, and then this is where the schedule gets interesting. You're 5-0. You kind of get things rolling. You're finally starting to see some good things with Michigan State, and then you travel to Columbus, which I'll let you predict first, Austin.
That I just it's Ohio State.
Yep.
Yep. You have left tackle woes, and there's somebody
named
on
Chase
the
Young.
other team named Chase Young.
He might be solid. I think he's pretty good, right? Like
he's pretty okay at the game of American football.
Yeah, I would say I think so.
Projected probably as the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft. You don't know because the quarterbacks like Tua and
Herbert,
whatever team, but easily a top 5 pick.
I would say as of right now, if you had to ask me who the most talented player in the draft is, I would give Chase Young the nod.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got everything. He's got the speed. He was originally a speed specialist. He's packed on a ton of muscle. Kind of like the DK Metcalf picture from last year's draft process. Looking at him in his pads, I'm like, holy crap, is that the same guy? Is he going to keep his speed? I'm assuming he is. And that's just a lot to handle. Michigan State's not exactly known for the quick passing to neutralize
I hope we change
pass rushers. I don't know. Maybe the offense can do it, but I think that's going to be too much to handle. Middle of the year, Ohio State's rolling at home. Yep. Justin Fields is probably taking off. J.K. Dobbins. It's a tough matchup against Michigan State, but I think it's just going to be a grind them out win for Ohio State, unfortunately, at home.
I agree. Unfortunately, I think Michigan State hangs around until the start of the fourth quarter. Have them losing 27-17. I think if you play Justin Fields maybe earlier in the year, maybe the third week, you could. But he's going to be rolling by then. Michigan State struggles with mobile quarterbacks, and we all know what Fields is as an athlete. Obviously, haven't seen real game time with him yet, but just as a recruit, I think Michigan State's defense keeps him in it for a while. The work he's able to make a couple plays with his legs, but Ohio State's offense has a lot of things that Michigan State's defense struggles with. So unless that changes, unless we can become a spread them out, hit you quick type of offense, I don't see us going into Columbus and beating Ohio State. Another one, I'll just let you go first and the rest of them. At Wisconsin, a tricky one.
I think Michigan State wins at Wisconsin. I'm just not super impressed with Wisconsin teams.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor obviously is a stud, and Wisconsin's known for those big guys up front, and they've got a first-round selection on the interior of their line. I think his name is Biads.
Yes.
But guess what? Michigan State's got some big dudes on the line that can kind of counteract that. So the advantage is kind of stalemated. I don't like Wisconsin going through the air at all. So I think Michigan State is going to win this game. I don't really know too much about Wisconsin's defense. I think they've lost some people just from natural attrition, graduation. Obviously the Badgers have been known for some good defense, but I don't think it's there. I think Michigan State is going to outlast Jonathan Taylor, and they'll take this one on the road.
Michigan State fans are going to like you more than like me after this pick. I do think Michigan State bottles up Jonathan Taylor. I just don't know enough about our offense yet to go out there and say we can go to Wisconsin and just score on them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have us losing at slugfest 17-14 against a defense that I think will not be as good as they normally are, but Wisconsin always seems to have a solid defense. At Wisconsin, probably going to be a night game, I think. Madison is not an easy place to go play in. A lot of expectations on Michigan State. I think they fall 17-14 here. Penn State comes to East Lansing. I'm not high on Penn State. I haven't heard Austin give much thought on Penn State yet, so I'm kind of curious on your prediction here.
Similar situation against Ohio State. Not the result, but Penn State's got a very talented pass rusher that is a first-round projection. But to your point, their offense, I just, a lot of question marks. I don't know who they're –
No McSorley,
exactly.
No Miles Sanders.
So, I really don't know who they have on the other side of the ball. And it's at East Lansing, correct?
Yeah, it's at home. Michigan State was able to beat them last year in Penn State with Trace McSorley, Miles Sanders, whoever the corner is the Lions have, Umware, I think his name is. So not that game necessarily means anything coming to this year, but coming to Michigan State, Penn State loses a lot of guys. Michigan State still has pretty much everybody, hopefully new offense. I think Michigan State wins 24-13. I don't even know who Penn State's quarterback's going to be at the time.
No, he's at Mississippi State. He's the starter there. He won the starting job.
Oh, well, good for him. Leaving, if someone else is smart, leaving James Franklin. Who is their quarterback? Who's going to bother me?
That's a great question.
Google is my best friend right now. Penn State quarterback is Sean Clifford.
Okay.
I think he played for, or is he a true for? Yeah, Sean Clifford. Let's see what he. Sean Clifford is 21. Looks like he came from Georgia. Not really sure. Don't know too much about him. Never heard of him. So, yeah, never heard of him. Okay, so that kind of bodes well for Michigan State, I would think. But so yeah, I don't know who the running back is. I don't know who anybody on their offense is. So I think Michigan State wins 24-13. Here is the well, I don't even know if I have to ask you this, Austin. Michigan State, Illinois comes to Michigan State.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
I have Michigan State win that one 42-17. This is a talk about a stretch though. Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State. You get a break and then travel to Ann Arbor to the Big House, the big game of the season, the game every Michigan fan waits for. November 16th on the road. Could be under the lights. We don't know yet. Austin, what do you think?
So Michigan lost some pretty decent dudes on their defense.
So keep in mind, Michigan has not beaten Michigan State at home since 2012, I believe.
That's a big deal. You lost, linebacker, Devin Bush. You lost
David Long.
Yep, you lost David Long at corner. You lost Rashawn Gary on the line.
Winovich on the line. I mean, Don Brown does great things up there in Ann Arbor with the defense, and I'm sure they'll have a talented team. But those are pros now. So you lost 4 pros off your defense that I can think of. Obviously, they returned Shea Patterson at quarterback. I think they still got Donovan Peoples-Jones or whatever his name is. The receiving core is still loaded. They got DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Tariq Black. They got some guys at wide receiver. Their offensive weapons kind of scare me a little bit, but
I just think at that point, that big of a rivalry game, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be close, but honestly, I think Michigan State goes in to Ann Arbor. Obviously, you had all the crap last year with Michigan State trying to do their pregame ritual and Devin Bush being made to be this Michigan hero, being out there.
Yes, I'm glad you see it that way because Michigan fans are on the other end of it.
And then obviously Michigan won.
Yep.
So
they dominated
in an ugly game. It wasn't like a resounding win.
It was and Michigan fans talk about, we had this many rushing yards. Just like, yeah, dude, you had the ball for 44 minutes. I would hope your running back after 34 carries would have over 100 yards.
Yeah, I see. I just don't think Michigan State runs into the issue of they're just killing their own defense. I think it'll be more balanced, and I give that edge to Michigan State because of all the starters they return on defense. I think that's going to kind of balance out the Michigan offense. And, I mean, it is a gamble, but you got a healthy Brian Lewerke. You got a new offense. You've got some healthy dudes on the line, some depth at wide receiver, so you're not playing with the guy you picked up off the street on Tuesday at wide receiver. So I think Michigan State goes in there. They got this game circled. I don't care if Michigan State was like 0-9 up to this point. They've got this game circled. I think they go into the Big House. They take the win, and the trash talk will continue, and Michigan fans are not really going to know what to say after, again, falling out of a potential playoff race and probably losing out on contention for the Big Ten East. So
yeah, Austin, I love that prediction. I mean, I think a big thing is obviously the offense. If Brian Lewerke can be sophomore Brian Lewerke versus junior Brian Lewerke, that would be huge. Another thing he said to his game is he tried to be too much of a pocket passer last year instead of using his legs to his advantage to try to be a better pro. But he's going to go back to his old style to where he's going to use his legs more, which I'm excited for because he's not like a super speedy quarterback, but he's quick, he's shifty, he can make some big plays on his legs. So it'll be interesting to see how he is this year. Like you said, Michigan lost a lot of defensive starters. Who knows how much Jim Harbaugh is going to control the offense. They say he's not going to, but why else would you hire a guy who has never called a play in his life to be your OC if you're not going to have some kind of control over the offense? So we'll really see what Michigan does offensively. If Michigan can be really good offensively, which they have the talent for, Michigan State could be in some trouble. But I think Michigan State loses 21-17 and falls to, at this point, would be 7-3, losing all three of their tough games on the road. And then they go to Rutgers. I have Michigan State winning 35-10. Austin, unless you have some faith in Rutgers football this year, I'm going to go ahead and skip this one for you.
Yep, next.
And then Maryland comes to Michigan State. I think Michigan State struggles a little bit, but I think they come out 28-13. I think Maryland's actually building a nice little program down there, but I don't think they're ready this year yet to come into an East Lansing team trying to go 9-3. And in this case, in your schedule, trying to finish 11-1. So are they going to get surprised by Maryland, or are they going 11-1? Are we making a bold prediction like I did on your pod?
I think they handle Maryland at home. I think Maryland will offer an interesting test, but I just think with a new coach, it's not going to come all together quite enough. Maybe if it was at home this year, but since it's at East Lansing, I just think East Lansing is a super tough place to play.
Yeah.
They'll take that win.
Tell you what, if we go 11-1, Austin, I could probably kiss you right now. After last year, that would be I don't even know how to describe what my feelings would be if we went 11-1. Now, the question to you is Ohio State 11-1, 12-0, 10-2? Do they win the East because of the head-to-head, or what happens with Ohio State? Which we will get into in a second here, actually. I'm not going to let you answer that just yet.
Okay.
Austin, we'll start with your Big Ten sleeper team. Try to avoid Purdue because they're going to be a popular one, and they are your boys. So if they were your sleeper, you can say that, but give me another team as well.
Well, yeah, I would hedge on Purdue because the West is so
wide open,
just kind of muddled. I think another sleeper is Northwestern again. They lost the quarterback. They kind of replaced it with good talent. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald just knows how to get his guys ready to play. And just because the West is so volatile, I think it gives them just another unique opportunity to come out on top and kind of take over and win again. So Northwestern has always been that team that people always sleep on every year, but they always kind of churn out a good season, and they've improved their their training facility. They obviously have that awesome new all glass building right on the lake, so you can see. I think that's just a big thing, and obviously the national attention of making the Big Ten championship. It's kind of get Northwestern a little above the hump. So I wouldn't sleep on Northwestern. I think they're pretty dangerous regardless of what happens with them and who they lose. They're always ready to play.
I like it. Big Ten champion, buddy. Who is it?
Who in the East or just overall?
Yeah, overall.
Oh man. Boy.
It's tough.
Oh man, I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule right now just to see. Um, you know what? Forget it. I'm going all in. Michigan State's going to win the Big Ten
Wow.
title.
Man, we are just going all in at Michigan State. I love it, personally, obviously. Who do you have them beating, out of curiosity? Is it Northwestern, Purdue? Who's going there? Who's going to Indy?
Well, I would sure love it for
Oh
it
my
to be
God,
Purdue.
dude.
Um,
If that would be the best thing to ever happen to our show. I honestly say this with confidence that there is not another Michigan State and Purdue mixed show out there like that I've put together. I say that with confidence. I think we're very unique with that.
as much as I want to say Purdue, it'd be awesome. I think Michigan State would go up against maybe like a Nebraska. I'll buy the hype a little bit. Taylor Martinez is a very talented football player, and he can do some carrying. So I would say Michigan State, Nebraska, and Indianapolis. Michigan State. If they make it to Indianapolis, nobody's stopping them. No way. The defense is just going to be locked in, and if the offense can just keep pace a little bit, it's game over for everybody. And just looking at Ohio State's schedule, Cincinnati's a trap game. Cincinnati's a really, really tough game.
Yep.
It's a good team. It's a noon game. It is in Columbus, but just don't sleep on them.
And Ohio State's known to slip up kind of in the non-conference a little bit. Not necessarily against a team like Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's better than people give them credit for. They almost lost to TCU last year, lost to Oklahoma a couple years ago. They are known for losing a non-conference game.
Yeah. And you've got a road game at Nebraska, who Nebraska kind of, they kept pace with Ohio State for the most part in their game at Ohio State. So you just I think that's a questionable game. I think Northwestern, a night game, is tough because Northwestern, all they're going to do is try and slow you down.
Yep.
And that's kind of just what they're really good at doing. So there's this Ohio State team has too many question marks for me defensively. And honestly, Justin Fields is a talented guy, but we don't know what he's going to do yet. So, and then obviously Ann Arbor, the last game against Michigan.
Michigan finally do it?
I don't know, but I think it's I thought last year would have been a game that Michigan would have showed up for, but it was on the road. And to Ohio State's credit, they came to play. Michigan didn't. I think Michigan kind of learning as they go along here and will open up a little more. So I just, Ohio State's a good, talented team, but I just don't really know.
We don't know what they are.
How good they're going to be. They didn't get better on defense. You could argue that they got a little worse. Obviously, they've got really good corners. Again, you got Chase Young. You lose. Nick Bosa really didn't play that much last year, so that's kind of a non-factor. But you lost. I think his name is Draymond Jones. A 3 technique. It's a little smaller, really quick, very disruptive. I don't really know who else they have name-wise with Chase Young. I don't know about their linebackers. I don't know about their safeties. There's just no one that's really made noise. It's been all about Justin Fields and the talented receiver core and J.K. Dobbins. So, I mean, that's great, but if you can't stop anybody on the flip side, it doesn't really matter how much you can sling it. So, I just don't have enough trust in Ohio State's defense right now. And I think they're rated high because of
about Ohio State. They are Urban Meyerless.
They are Urban Meyerless, so it's going to be a test for Ryan Day. I think who's the coach now. Obviously, he's been on staff for a little bit, but we just don't know. I just don't know what you're going to get with this team. They're number 5 because it's Ohio State. They're very talented, and they got Justin Fields after losing Dwayne Haskins. But I just, you just don't know what you're getting there.
Yeah.
He's not really seeing any big game action, and I just still don't know about this defense. I look at Maryland putting up over 200 yards rushing on Ohio State's defense last year, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's changed to maybe shore that up? And I don't know. Yeah. I can't answer that question. So
I agree. I am excited about. You have me more excited and anxious about Michigan State kicking the season off now that you have deemed them Big Ten preseason champions. My sleeper might it's a weird one. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's a team I want to keep my eye on. The Minnesota Golden Gophers.
That's a good pick. It's a good pick.
I love. Okay, so we're doing. This is unrelated to this, but in a Madden League we run, we're doing a custom draft class, and I came across the name Rodney Smith, their tailback. He's a talented kid. This is PJ Fleck's third year, I believe. Tanner Morgan's still their quarterback. Not like a super stud, but he's solid. They got some pieces. I think with the West being wide open, obviously, if you listen to the Purdue side of things, by the time you listen to this one, I have Purdue going to the Big Ten title game. So I don't have Minnesota coming out, but I think they're a team you want to keep their eye on. I think they can shock some people. They actually have a couple top 25 votes in the AP, so other people are kind of thinking the same thing. But I think I'm not buying in the Nebraska hype, and even if I was, I don't really think they're a sleeper because of all the hype. Purdue would be a sleeper, but I already predicted them to go to the Big Ten title game, so I don't want to use that. I feel like it'd be kind of a cheating, almost like a cheat. So we're gonna say the Golden Gophers. And I'm a Big Ten champion. I'm gonna be boring. I'm not gonna be as crazy as Austin. I'm going with a safe pick here in Ohio State. I think Ryan Day is a super talented play caller. I think their defense takes a step back, but I think Justin Fields is the real deal, and he carries Ohio State's offense. You got J.K. Dobbins. I think Ohio State actually goes 12-0 this year and runs the table. Beats Purdue in the Big Ten title game in quadruple overtime. I'm kidding. Just wanted to make it spicy. And I think Ohio State goes 12 and would it be? Well, it'd be 13-0 after the Big Ten title game, and locks their way into the playoff this year, which the Big Ten has had a drought. So, now my question to you, Austin, real quick before I move on here: does an 11 well, actually, we're gonna get to that. I can't believe I'm doing this twice myself. I've teased it 2 times, even though we're gonna get to it. Let's see here. So I got Ohio State beating Purdue. You got Michigan State beating Nebraska. I think those are both 2 interesting choices. I think that just proves how wild the West is this year. I guess we could call the Big Ten West the Wild West if we want to be really cliche about it.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the sleeper again. Nationally, who is your sleeper to make the playoffs?
I'm going to say the Oregon Ducks.
Oh, you jerk! All right.
I mean, you could pick the Ducks too.
I had a backup just in case this happened. I had a backup. Don't worry. Go ahead. Give me your explanation.
They return a lot of people. Obviously, some guy named Justin Herbert leads the offense.
Never heard of him.
I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Oregon's got the talent to kind of put themselves back on the map. I think everyone's hyped up about the SEC and Clemson, and everyone kind of forgets about the Pac-12. But I mean, that just makes it better for Oregon.
I think Oregon sets themselves up. If they beat Auburn, I think they set themselves up to run the table.
Yes.
So Austin stealing my thunder, which is okay because this is why I prepped myself for this. I'm also going to lean into the Pac-12. I was debating between Texas and Washington here. I'm going to buy into the Jacob Eason train right here, Austin.
All right. Former Georgia Bulldog quarterback leading up there.
Kid's got a cannon. Has some accuracy issues. If I remember correctly, he was pretty good for Georgia before he went down. Am I right?
Yes.
So I think, God, I love Chris Peterson. I personally think Oregon wins the Pac-12, but if I had to go elsewhere, I think the Pac-12 between Washington and Oregon can make some noise this year, and I think Washington is that team. Texas, I like. Big 12, easier schedule, I would say. Sam Ehlinger at quarterback there, they can make some noise. I just don't think they get enough wins to get a playoff nod if a team like Washington or Oregon could, run the table. So I'll go with Washington, and I'm buying into the Jacob Eason hype. I should have said Purdue to really get you going. But so your final 4 of them, are you throwing your sleeper in the final 4? Or what are you going with here?
I'm gonna be boring. I'm gonna do.
See, okay, so this is fun because I went boring Big Ten wise but I'm going to go fun with the national, and you're going, and okay, I like this. Go ahead.
Well, actually, now I think about it, I guess it's not. There's
Oh.
actually thinking about it now. It's
Now
not
that I
as
think
easy
about
as
it.
I thought it would be because
After you called me boring.
as we all know, Clemson's going. There's just no way that they don't make it. If they don't make it, then I don't really know what to do myself. That team is just so talented. I just don't think anyone can stop them. Then I think it's going to be another lock. I think it's going to be Oklahoma.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
You got Lincoln Riley, the quarterback whisperer, and you got Jalen Hurts that knows how to play in big games. Lincoln Riley's going to get everything and then some out of him. They're still very talented on offense, and they'll just outscore their way to the playoff. Then it's going to come down to what happens with Alabama and Georgia. To your point, Alabama lost some linebackers. Dylan Moses obviously a top 15 pick out, but they got this dude on the other side of the ball
named
Tua Tagovailoa, pretty good at football. And then on top of that, they've got a monster O-line as usual. Their receiving core is just
their offense
stupid.
Is disgusting.
Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and then Najee Harris, and I don't remember their other running back. It's going to be one of those things where if Alabama's defense isn't that great, their offense is going to pick up the slack, whereas it's always been vice versa. And Alabama's secondary is actually really pretty good. So
they got a really good safety tandem.
Yes. So honestly, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say it's going to be Georgia, Bama, Clemson, and Oklahoma again.
All right.
Again, literally the same thing we had.
11-1, Michigan State out. Oof. Although, even if we went 11-1, missed the playoff, went to the Rose Bowl or something, I'd still be creaming my pants probably. But
I guess actually I was wrong because Notre Dame was in the playoff last year. I forgot. They bumped Georgia out because they were undefeated, but that doesn't happen this year. I think Georgia makes it in there.
Yeah.
I think it was a joke that Georgia didn't make it in, and Notre Dame did because Clemson literally rolled them and admitted that they weren't even paying attention to Notre Dame, that they were already looking ahead at Alabama because they didn't think Oklahoma was going to win, which actually they didn't. So that just kind of goes to show how the cards fall in college football nowadays. But Georgia, Bama, Clemson, and Oklahoma for me.
Okay. So I'm going to go non-boring here, Austin. I'm going to go quite fun here. I'm going to go with a little fun here. Quite fun doesn't make sense, but we're rolling with it. That's what this pick's going to be like. Clemson, obviously. I'm not going to be that crazy. They get in. I think Ohio State being 13-0, they get in. And then you have Georgia. I think they win the SEC this year and get in. And then my fourth team is Oregon. I'm going to leave Bama out.
Wow. The high-powered Bama offense.
I think, and they don't really have that career. I mean, they played Duke, which is going to be a win. They got South Carolina week 3, Texas A&M. I mean, Jimbo. I guess I can see them losing to LSU and Auburn.
Boy, Auburn's got that question mark at quarterback.
I know.
Huh?
I think I see them losing to LSU at home as much as weird as that sounds, more than I see them losing to Auburn on the road. But even if they do, I don't think Bama goes undefeated. Is that crazy? I don't think they go 12-0 to get to the SEC championship. Even if they get there, I don't think that's crazy to say that. So I think they run into Georgia in the SEC championship and lose to Georgia. And if I would really be kind of disappointed, as good as Alabama's offense is, if you leave out a undefeated Oregon or a Georgia. You can't. So I mean, you're literally looking at a 13-0 Ohio State team and a 13-0 Oregon team, and then Georgia, your SEC champion. I mean, would you leave an undefeated team out to put Bama in, or what?
No, absolutely not.
So, all right, so we can agree on that. So I'm saying that I think Alabama's going to slip in the regular season and then lose in the SEC title game. So You heard our playoff predictions here first. I think we would probably both say Clemson's going to win the national title, so I'm not going to bore you with those predictions. But anything else you want to say about college football coming back, Austin, before I just give some quick recruiting updates?
Nope. I'm ready for the season to start, man.
Yes, sir. Exciting. Got to go through 2 more painful days at work. I get off at 6 Friday, come home, jump in the chair, just me and the pup watching the game, maybe a little cocktail. Hopefully they don't make me want to rip my hair out. But I am excited that I get to watch Michigan State, Tulsa, and then Nevada and Purdue play at 10. So that'll be a fun night for me. Fun night of me and Austin being football nerds, as most of you are normally me on a Friday night going out and partying. Me and Austin will be nice and cozied up in our house watching some college football. So that'll be fun. Recruiting-wise, nothing, really. I feel it's on there hoping some news would come about. It looks like Jordan Simmons, running back, might be committing to Michigan State. He's getting some crystal balls. 3-star kid. Watched a little bit of film on him. Seems pretty shifty, talented. Definitely will be a project. I think recruiting-wise football, I think they are waiting on to see the offense a little bit from Michigan State and how well they play this year. So expect some things to fall once the season starts. No news for you basketball-wise other than I think they're going to be fine. We'll get into that once it gets closer to the season. So, Austin, if you have nothing else to say, man, this has been a pretty long show, so go ahead and take us out of here.
Yeah, man, no, I'm just excited. College football is back, and the NFL is right behind it. So
yes, sir.
Lots to be excited about. But as always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.